able to hear that in the background. I hope it's not too loud. I find the sound a little bit soothing myself. This is going to be hold on, forever tweaking this microphone. There we go. This is going to be the Earth signs reading for this week. So we're going to have the sign of Taurus. We're going to be looking at the sign of Virgo and also the sign of Capricorn. And I'm going to be drinking some tea. So, to purify the space today, I have some natron, and this is not just normal natron. Hi Malik, thank you for coming. I had burned some, I don't exactly remember what it was now, but it was some paper with spells on it, and I mixed it in with the natron. So today, that's what we're going to be using to purify the space. I'm just going to get a little bit. It really doesn't take much. And I'm just going to anoint the area with it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, the cards that I've been using this week. This is the Magical Tarot of Fate. These are Russian cards. It's a Russian language deck, which does cause a little bit of confusion for me from time to time, but I try to, if I do make any errors, I correct them. We have been having a lot of grating metal noises recently in our area, and I kind of enjoy it, of course. But if you hear anything like that, your guess is as good as mine as to what it is. So we're going to start with the astrological sign of Taurus. And Taurus, if you would like, just gently allow any concerns or thoughts that you have to float up to the forefront of your consciousness and wait there patiently while we do the reading, so that perhaps we can find some answers. Mm-hmm. Interesting. We have a lot of swords in your reading today, Taurus. Not too many, but quite a few. And I'm going to write down your timestamp here. So, Taurus, let's get started on your reading. Here in the past, we have the Seven of Swords. And this card can be about deception and betrayal. Somebody trying to deceive you. Now, this card is in the reverse, so this would have been something from the past. And it could be that recently, even, you discovered that this person had tried to deceive you in some way, or a deception been uncovered. Here in the current situation, we have the Two of Pentacles. This card kind of leapt out of the deck. This card, despite the artwork, all of the artwork in this deck, I believe, to be taken from like sci-fi and fantasy novel covers. I have seen like a Dali painting or two in there as well. But the Two of Pentacles is about achieving some kind of balance. So it could be that you are balancing a checkbook, you're balancing your home and work lives. Just finding balance for yourself that will be sustainable. This is crossed by the Nine of Swords. So there's some worry involved in this balancing of things. And it can also be related to this deception being uncovered in the past, that you might be worried, and excessively so, I would say, because the Nine of Swords is usually a card that you see with excessive worry, excessive anxiety, and even possibly sleepless nights. So there's an anxiety about not being able to achieve balance, possibly. We're going to look now down at the MMC lie. So that's the cusp of the third and fourth houses. And it represents the foundations of everything that we're going to look at up here with the midheaven. I pretend that there's a 12 houses wheel laid out over my Celtic cross spread. So the card that we have down here in the MMC lie is the Magician. And this is all about your creative manifestation. You could be doing a lot of law of attraction work at this time. You could also be just really putting a lot of work into manifesting something. So it could be through, if you are a magician, you could be doing rituals about it. I know that there are different quantum techniques that people use, especially involving like lottery numbers and things like that. All of that would be setting up the foundations for what you will be achieving in the future. From your perspective on the situation, we have the Four of Swords, and it's showing up in the reverse. So you might feel like you don't have an opportunity to rest, that you are kind of could be running on empty, but it could also be that there are things regarding your health that you need to take care of, and you're not able to do so at this time. Part of that is wanting to achieve this balance, right? So let's not forget about this card here, that you're really working toward coming into balance. And so not being able to get rest and rejuvenation is going to affect that. Part of this Nine of Swords, too, which is the crossing card of the significator, could be about insomnia or being unable to sleep. So, from an outside perspective, we have the Page of Pentacles in the reverse. And this card is typically about extending a job offer to somebody, or it's kind of like employee energy. So where we have this showing up in the reverse regarding other people's opinions towards you, it could be that people have considered extending you job offers and have not done so at this time. That could be for any number of reasons. But I also want to remind you that, Page of Pentacles is earth energy, so it's very heavily grounded, but and very heavily invested in material goods, right? But that you might not necessarily need to be working for somebody else. So that might also be what this card is talking about. Especially if you're manifesting this strong magician energy. And it's also possible that you were in situations in the past where if the Seven of Swords doesn't refer to a love relationship, it could also refer to a situation at a job where you were told one thing and then that was changed later on. So here in the future, we have the Three of Cups, and it's in the upright. So the Three of Cups has to do with close-knit friend groups. And the way that this card is showing up, it could be that you have a close-knit group of friends that will be helping you out. You might be focusing more on your friends at this time in the near future as well, and spending more time with them. Now let's look at the hopes and fears. This can also be cautions. And we have the Six of Swords. It's showing up in the reverse. So you might be afraid that you have to move, or you might be wanting to move and feeling like you don't have adequate resources to do that. Both of those things are possible. But this might also be indicating to you that you don't necessarily need to move at this time, if that's not what you want to do. All right, Taurus. So now we're going to look at the midheaven position, and that's going to be right up here. It's the cusp of the 9th and 10th houses. And we have another 7 here, which is the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands can be about having achieved something that others desire, and thereby making a target of oneself. You could imagine that you dwell up here, and these people are trying to siege the fortress. But this card is showing up in the reverse. So on the one hand, it's not necessarily like a card of defeat when it shows up reversed like this, but it is kind of saying that you are no longer going to be a target for others. And especially where we had this 7 in the past, the 7 of Swords, that there might have been some kind of deception on someone else's part that was uncovered. That moving forward, you're not going to be a target for such shenanigans. And the final outcome that we have here is actually quite good. So, Taurus, for you in the final outcome position, we have the Nine of Pentacles. Now, it is showing up reversed, but that can mean in these future positions that this potential exists, but that it's going to depend on how everything plays out as to whether or not this is going to be coming in for you. And of course, nothing I say in this reading is going to supersede your own free will, but this is a very good potential to have in your future. It's kind of saying to me, if you hold out a little bit longer, you could see a very good payout from that. Okay, Taurus. So that is going to conclude the Taurus reading for today. We're going to be moving on to the sign of Virgo. So, Virgo, if you like, just allow whatever it is that you'd like to know about to gently rise up into the forefront of your thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and take my vitamins, actually. That one is CoQ10. And then I also take magnesium. So these are not illicit substances, and I'm certainly not endorsing that you take the same supplements that I do. I tend to be a little bit magnesium deficient. Okay, and now we'll move on to the Virgo reading. Virgo, if you feel any stress associated with things that you are thinking about at this time, of course, we have Virgo on the bottom of the deck. Just breathe through them. Inhale and imagine the divine white light of Source entering your body and filling it through the crown of your head, down to the soles of your feet and into the ground below. And then as you exhale, just sigh out any of that tension that you're feeling and allow it to be returned to Source, where it can be transmuted. Oh, the Knight of Wands is riding on a motorcycle. That's cool. All right, so what do we have for you here, Virgo? Let me write down your timestamp. Okay. So here in the past for you, Virgo, we have the Temperance card. So this is a little bit like the Two of Pentacles we saw in the Taurus reading, but there are some subtle differences too. So there is an aspect of balance. There's an aspect of moderation. There's also an aspect of rehearsal in preparation for something. So perhaps the first time this figure poured water out of this basin, it just kind of splashed everywhere and made kind of a mess. And it takes practice, a bit of practice, in order to have the water cascade in that beautiful way, right? So this would have taken place in the past and might not be something that is a daily routine that you've carried into your present situation. So let's look at the current situation, the place of the significator. That's you, Virgo. We have the Eight of Pentacles there. And this is a card about long-term career prospects. So this would be something you've done for a very long time, and you're quite established in that field. It could be working for somebody else. It could also be having attained multiple streams of income on your own. So it doesn't necessarily need to be you within a workplace. It can just be multiple streams of income coming in. And this is crossed by the moon. So the moon is this long and treacherous path. It's not very well lit. There's potential danger. We don't know what this entity's intentions are. And it's a little bit difficult to navigate because of those things. So you may have reached a point with your career or with your streams of income, whether that's retirement accounts or investments, or perhaps you have businesses through which you're receiving income that you own. You could be a property owner, all kinds of things. But you might have gotten to a point with these things where the way forward has become a little bit unclear for you. So now we're going to look down here at the EF. I imagine that there's a 12 houses spread laid out on top of my Celtic cross. And down here, the cusp of the third and fourth houses is going to tell us a lot about the origins and foundations for the goal and destiny that we see with the midheaven position, which will be more at the top here. So down here in the EF, we have the Knight of Wands. This is fire of fire energy. And because it's showing up reversed, it could be that you're burning the candle at both ends, that the way that you're expending your energy is unsustainable. So let's find out a little bit more about that. We'll look at your perspective first. And from your perspective, we have the Eight of Wands in the reverse. So the Eight of Wands is about closure. It is about a finite ending of some kind, that we have completed a story arc. And because this card is showing up in the reverse, I think that you, Virgo, are waiting for that closure to come in, and it hasn't happened yet. And that you see that this situation is kind of unsustainable, and you're trying to figure out how to sustain it just a little bit longer so that you can reach this closure, this ending. Here, from another person's perspective, we have the King of Pentacles, and he also is showing up reversed. There could be something about your thinking regarding money that is a little too fixed, Virgo, at this time. That perhaps your perspective on it needs to change. And others could be seeing you in more of this King of Pentacles energy than how you actually are, which is this Knight of Wands reversed, that you're kind of running yourself ragged, because people see that you've been doing this for a very long time. They can see that. But they don't understand that you don't see the way forward, perhaps. Here in the future, we have another king. This is the King of Cups, and he's showing up in the upright. So this King of Cups could be somebody who comes in to mentor you, Virgo. This could be what you grow into in the future as well. The King of Cups is somebody who's very supportive of the people around them and in an active sense. So this would be somebody who has the resources to feed and clothe others, or to provide nurturing guidance when needed. This is air of water energy. So the logical discernment of air combined with the emotional nurturing elements of water. We'll look now at the hopes and fears, Virgo. So in the place of the hopes and fears, we have the King of Wands reversed. So we do have a lot of wands showing up for you in this reading, Virgo, in addition to pentacles. That you might have fire energy prominently in your chart, or that you might be a Virgo moon or Virgo rising and have a sun sign that is a fire sign. So the King of Wands, when he's showing up in his detriment like this, reversed, it is similar to this Knight of Wands energy. But the King of Wands in this case could have a hot temper, could be somebody who is aggressive, could be somebody who, just is a little difficult to deal with, that they might be very creative, but also very volatile. So you might be afraid of being perceived this way, Virgo. I don't know that that's really the case. Obviously, it's a general reading, so all of your personalities are going to be different. Let's look up here. Well, I will say before I move forward, this does kind of have like being backed into a corner kind of energy. Not such that you necessarily feel trapped, but more so that you are overextended. And sometimes when you're coming from a place like that and you're very frustrated and you don't see a good way forward, right? That you can react based on how you're feeling rather than the reality of the situation or what you know to be coming to pass in the future. So here in the midheaven, we do have another wand. This one, a very good card to get, which is the Six of Wands. This is a card of victory. There is some mobility associated with this card. It's kind of like the minor arcana version of the Chariot card. Oftentimes, a parade is depicted on this card. In this particular case, the hero here is deflecting this dragon from attacking the maiden. So there will be victory for you in this situation, and it could be coming with the aid of someone who will be coming in to mentor you. That is possible. The King of Cups can also represent one's father or somebody who has been in your life as a nurturing masculine force. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a man, but somebody perhaps who's provided for you in the past or who has provided mentorship and support. And the final outcome for you today, Virgo. We have the Four of Pentacles in the reverse. So the Four of Pentacles is about conserving resources. And here where we have it showing up in the reverse, in the future, in this particular case, I'm going to read this as that you are perhaps holding too tightly onto something, Virgo. Whether this is a preconceived notion, like we were seeing perhaps with this King of Pentacles, that you have these preconceived notions about money that are not serving you at this time. It could be that despite needing to spend a lot of money and resources in the current situation, that everything is going to end up working out. And this is just letting you know that in the intermediate period, there might be a need to expend more resources than maybe you feel comfortable with. It might also be asking you to come out of your comfort zone. Here in the past, this could have represented a time where you had gotten like a lot of your debt paid off or something like that too. And understanding that you're in a new environment now. And that's a good thing because it's leading to growth and to victory. All right, Virgo. Well, that is going to conclude your reading for this week. And I do greatly appreciate you joining me. We are going to move on now to the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn, if you would, just relax. You can close your eyes if you want to. You could take some deep, gentle breaths and allow any concerns that you have to gently float to the forefront of your mind and your consciousness. And if these are things that stress you out, just gently breathe through that energy. So, inhale and imagine your body filling with the divine white light of Source. And then as you exhale, just sigh out any tension, any stress. Allow those things to return to Source and be transmuted. All right, so what do we have here for Capricorn? I'm going to write down your timestamp. Okay. And let's start here in the past, Capricorn. So we have the Ace of Wands, and this card is in the upright. So the Ace of Wands is indicative of masculine fertility. It is also pure fire elemental energy and thus associated with power, with potency, with action. And this card is upright. So this is something that is an energy that's carrying over into the current situation. So let's look at the place of the significator. Hi, Blade Ice YouTube. I assume that's what YT stands for. Thank you for coming. So, in the place of the significator, we have the Knight of Cups. This is somebody who is thinking with their gut and their heart more so than their mind, and using that to drive their action. Crossing this, we also have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords brings in discernment in a very interesting way. She speaks about her truth, even if it is damaging to other people. But the crossing card of the significator is never read reversed, so this wouldn't be only to harm other people and get them out of the way. With the Knight of Cups, this is fire of water energy. And with the Queen of Swords, this is water of air energy. So we've got a lot of elemental representation here, and it's heavily skewed toward water, which is the emotions, the feelings, such that there could be truths about yourself that it is important to speak and to put forward at this time. And you're going to be trusting your intuition to know what those are. We're going to look down here at the Imam-C line. So if you imagine that there is a 12 houses cycle laid out over the Celtic cross spread, down at the bottom. Oh, hi, Kayla's lovely. I confess that I don't necessarily go live at exactly the same time every day, but I do think if you ring the little bell, it's possible that you will be notified at the time that I go live. So the foundations and origins of what we are going to be seeing in the midheaven, that's going to be like the goal or the destiny. Down here we have the Two of Cups in the reverse. So this is going to be representative of a close emotional bond. Well, it's always so good to see you. Kayla's lovely, and I'm glad you're here. Indicative of an emotional bond with another person where perhaps a rift has formed. So sometimes this is a love relationship, but it could also be indicative of a friendship in which distance has developed in the current environment. From your perspective, we have the Empress, and she is appearing here, very blurry, but in the upright. So the Empress is an energy of divine feminine. First of all, it can be traditionally feminine careers and pursuits, but also represents the kinds of projects that take a long time to develop and manifest. She is an adept manifester, but in order to do so, it requires a period of gestation, just as with pregnancy. So there could be a project that you are bringing into the material plane at this time that requires a long time and a lot of development put into it. From an outside perspective, we have the Page of Cups. And as you can see, this person here is offering this little tiny person to this much larger person, almost like an offering. So that's what we see with the Page of Cups, is it is an offering of some kind. It could be an offering of love. It could be an offering of money. It could be a gift. All kinds of things fit into that. So these two things don't actually look very related to what we see here with the Two of Cups reversed. So for some of you, it could be that you're trying to bring love into your life. So that's possible too. Or trying to forge these close emotional bonds with people, and perhaps that hasn't really been occurring. So for you, you see this as more like a long-term process. And other people are just kind of like, oh, that's just an offer. I can take it or I can leave it. But it's not in the reverse, so I don't see the offer being rejected. It could be an offer of reconciliation also, that you are in the relationship for the long haul, and perhaps the other person didn't quite see it that way. And of course, as I mentioned, this can be a love relationship, but it can also be about friendships and other forms of alliance. It would be more to the emotional side of things and less to the business partnership side of things, but that's also a potential. So here in the future, we have the Knight of Swords. Even though she's underwater, this is the symbol for air, and so that would be the swords suit. And I think also that this is like the Russian word for swords. So the Knight of Swords is somebody who has a very binary sense of discernment. Much like the Knight of Cups is somebody who uses their emotional mind, their heart, and their gut to discern the way forward, to discern right from wrong. The Knight of Swords, this is fire of air energy, discerns things in terms of this is good, this is bad, and we have like a keep pile and a reject pile. So anything that is not good is being discarded. So that is the energy that you're moving into in the future, that there's going to be more of a binary sense of discernment and a lot more logical as well, a lot more action oriented and a lot more logical than what you might have been doing currently. And I don't say that in terms of the long-term Capricorn, because I know Capricorns tend to be very practical, and it's going to depend on what else is in your chart as well, of course. But that rather than relying on your emotions, you're going to really be like, fold the piece of paper in half. What are the good traits? What are the bad traits? If the bad outweighs the good, it's gone. Now we're going to look up here into the hopes and fears. There can also be some cautions here. So what we see here is the Five of Pentacles, and it's showing up reversed. And I take this to be very indicative of your feelings toward whatever this situation is, with the Two of Cups reversed. So the Five of Pentacles can be feeling left out in the cold. It's a card coming from a place of lack. So where we see it in the reverse, I think that you're hoping that whatever this situation is, you will no longer be on the outside of that you will be welcomed back into that situation. at the midheaven. And I'm sorry, I'm making a few weird noises with my stomach, so I apologize for that. Up here in the midheaven, we're looking at the destiny of the situation. And we have here the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups can have to do with nostalgia. It can have to do with things returning from the past also. So if there are unresolved situations from the past, or if there are things about which you think fondly from the past, having nostalgic feelings, this can even be things from your childhood. Perhaps the gum you like is about to come back into style, right? So this could be trends coming around again. It could even be people coming back from your past. It could be about somebody you haven't seen since childhood, and out of the blue, they get in touch with you on social media. That's possible also. And it might bring resolution to this with the Two of Cups reversed. You know, that if you have been focusing all of your effort on a person and they haven't been receptive, you know, it could be that somebody else is about to return into your life, and you will form that close emotional bond with them. So that's a possibility as well. And the cups really has to do more with emotion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to do with your love life. So this could also be, you know, a business partnership that for whatever reason didn't come together, and that something is about to return from the past that will reconcile that for you in particular, Capricorn. But it would be something that you had strong emotional bonds to, something you feel very strongly about. So now we're going to look at the final outcome for your reading. And Capricorn, the final outcome for your reading today is the Two of Swords, and it's showing up reversed. So it could be, you know, we are looking in the future at this kind of binary decision making, and this could be a potential choice coming up for you in the future, that you might have two things to choose from. You might have a decision that's like, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this also? And it could be that you've kind of already made this decision, and that could be another reason why it is showing up in the reverse like this. So that is what I have for you this week, Capricorn. And I do want to mention that I'm going to be going over to the members side of the channel now and doing the crystal scrying with this beautiful peach moonstone. If that interests you, you are cordially invited. But of course, your presence is always appreciated and loved, no matter what form it takes. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. I hope that all of you have had an excellent week, and I hope that you are headed into an even better,